Welcome back. Now we are working on day 3 of our notes. Day 2, we learned about the different types of angles: adjacent angles, linear pairs, supplementary angles, complementary angles, vertical angles, and perpendicular lines. Now today we're going to do actual math that goes with that and solving. So the first type is complementary. Complementary angles make a 90-degree angle together. Okay, so we're going to add these two angles together and then solve for x and plug it back in. So I have 3x plus 5 and 7x plus 15, and that equals 90. Feel free to pause the video anytime you need to while you're solving. So I'm going to combine like terms before I start moving things over. So 10x and then 5 plus 15, which is 20, and that equals 90. And then I'm going to solve the equation as usual. So I'm going to subtract by 20 and then divide by 10, and x equals 7. And then it tells me to plug back in for A. So if I plug back into A, so the measure of angle A is 3 times 7 plus 5. When numbers are next to each other, we multiply. So 21 plus 5, and that becomes 26 degrees. So angle A is 26 degrees. Now I'm going to do the next one, a linear pair. A linear pair means that they create a line together, which means that they add up to 180. So angle D is 2x plus 9. Angle B is 4x minus 15. So I'm going to combine those numbers and make it equal to 180 and solve for x. So same song and dance. 2x and 4x is 6x. 9 and negative 15. Make sure you see that negative in front. That's negative 6. And that equals 180. So 9 minus 15. Okay, so solve the next part. So opposite of subtracting 6 is adding 6, which is 186. And then I'm going to divide 6 to both sides, and x equals what? So we're going to put that in our calculator. Practice that in your calculator, which is 31. It asked me to plug back into angle D. So I'm going to plug 31 in for angle D for x. So 2 times 31 plus 9, which is 71 degrees. Okay, so again, I set up the problem. I make it equal to based on what it says. So the first one said complementary, so that means it added up to 90 degrees. The second one said it was a linear pair, so it added up to 180. Okay, the next one is vertical angles. Vertical angles are across the way from each other. They share intersecting lines, and that means that they are equal to each other if they are vertical. So angle E is 15x plus 18. Angle F is 4x plus 63. So solve for x first. Okay, so how am I going to move these around? So I have 2 sets of variables and I have 2 sets of numbers. So if I move this 4x over by subtracting, I need to move this 18 over also by subtracting. So subtract and combine that way. So 15 minus 4 is 11x. And 63 minus 18 is 45. All right, this one's not as nice, but we're going to be okay. So 45 divided by 11. And x equals 4 and we're going to round up to 4.1. Okay, we're going to plug it back in for angle F. All right, so I'm going to plug it in for F. So 4 times 4.1 plus 63. So 4 times 4.1 plus 63. And I have 79.4 degrees. Okay, so angle D is 73. Angle A is 26. And the next one, number 3, your answer is 79.4. All right, the next one, supplementary angles. Okay, so the word supplementary means that the angles have to add up to 180. They form a straight line. They don't have to be connected, but they form a straight line together. Okay, so C is 9x minus 88, and angle D is 7x minus 20. So I'm going to combine like terms. So 9 plus 7 is 16x. Then I have negative 88 minus 20, which is negative 108, and that equals 180. So I'm going to add 108 and then divide 16. X equals 18. And then it asks me to plug back in for C. Okay, so angle C, 9 times 18 minus 88. So practicing putting this in your calculator yourself, make sure you know the steps. So I'm going to multiply, then subtract, and I should get 74 as my angle. Okay, so those are based on words. So complementary, linear pair, vertical angles, and supplementary. Now, based on the image, we have to look at our clues. So this, when I see this box, that means it's a right angle, which is 90 degrees. Therefore, this has to also be 90, because 90 plus 90 adds up to a straight line. Okay, so that's why this angle right here also equals 90 degrees. And then we solve. So we apply our knowledge of geometry to determine what type of angle it is. So 4x equals 44. Divide 4 to both sides, and x equals 11. Okay, so that's why x equaled 11 for number 5. Number 6. Now, again, look at your clues to see what's going on. So this is a straight line, and these add up to 180 degrees. So 4y plus 136 equals 180. So what can I subtract to both sides? So 180 minus 136 is 44. Oh my gosh, it looks like the same exact question. It's just a different one to solve. And then I divide 4, and y equals 11. Well, there you go. So equaling 90 compared to equaling 180, and we still got the same answer for both of them. Kind of weird. All right, but x and then y. All right. For number 7, you have to use 60 in 2 different ways. So if they are across the way from each other, these angles are vertical angles, and vertical angles are equal. Vertical means equal. So y just equals 60 degrees, and there you go. And then you need to look for the straight lines. Okay. Oh, sorry. To be fancy, vertical angles are congruent to each other. Okay, now in order for us to figure out x, we can look at these types of lines, and these are called linear pairs. Well, what do linear pairs add up to? They add up to 180. So 180. So you can make an equation if you want to. You don't really have to if you don't want to, but x plus 60 equals 180. You can also say, oh, if these two add up to 180, I can just subtract it right here. Whatever works for you. Then, yeah, x equals 120. So 120 degrees is x, and y is 60 degrees. Again, so if they share intersecting lines, and they only share like that point in between, right? They're opposite from each other. Those are called vertical. If they create a line together, they add up to 180, and they're known as a linear pair. So again, what is the relationship, and what can I do because of it? Okay, all right, the last one today. So again, what is the relationship you have, and how do we figure this out? So this one's kind of meaty. So if I have these two together, now I have an x and a y. It's not really where I'm going to go, okay? Because I can't really put those together yet. So I'm actually going to make these equal to each other because they both have a y value, and at least I can figure out what the y value is. These are equal to each other because they are vertical. So vertical angles are equal. So vertical angles are congruent. So 8y minus 101 equals 2 plus 7y. We've done this one. Okay, so I have y equals, so 2 plus 101, which is 103. And when I plug that back in, yeah, the 103 will not work for those ones. So I want you guys to fix this one right here and make this a 10. Okay, so fix that on your notes. So 8y minus 10 equals 2 plus 7y. Okay, we're going to subtract the 7y now. That's going to work out way better. And then y equals 12. Okay, Before, that was kind of that question would not really work out. So sorry for that small error. So 8y minus 10 equals 2 plus 7y, and y equals 12, okay? So how on earth am I going to figure out what x is? Okay, well, first I have to decide on which combo I want to do. So I can make a linear pair this way, or I can make a linear pair this way. It's up to you which one you want to do. Because these two are worth the same amount, it doesn't really matter. You have to decide what works for you. So you have to use those different strategies you've learned. Okay? What looks better to you when you're solving? All right. So I have y equals 12. I have to plug it back in because I need to figure out what this angle's worth. So 2 plus 7 times 12. Okay, and I have to multiply first, so 7 times 12, so 2 plus 84, and 84 plus 2 is 86. Okay, so that one's 86 degrees. Okay, now if I add it to the 3x, so those are supplementary. Or you can say they're a linear pair because, again, they make a straight line. So that means that you're going to add them up, okay? So why did I have to plug it back in? Well, because I want to know what x is. I now know what y is, so now I know what this angle's worth. So if you want to change this, you have 86 and 86 because those are equal, and then you have 3x. So how on earth do you figure out what 3x is? Well, you add them together now. So 3x plus 86 equals 180. So I'm going to subtract 180 minus 86. I get 94. And then now divide by 3. Okay, so x equals 31.3 repeating because it goes on forever. Okay, so some of these not the prettiest ones, but again, you did great practicing the different types of problems you have and doing your best. Ask questions in class. You guys got this. Look at the relationships you got and do the best you can with those angles. All right, have a great